let us now consider the way the bookstore buys in the books. Yeah, let's call it procurement. So this here, and to finalize our 5th week, let's look at one more thing regarding time and dates. Let's say we have here a date within this month, which is, let's say, 15th of the September 12,011, and we would like to know, or let's have some other date, for instance 15th of October 2011, and we want to know what is the last day of that month. Remember that the last day can either be 28th in case of February, 29th in case of February, 30th or 31st in case of some other months. So we don't really know that. And why we should care about the last date would be that let's say we want to know how many days are left until the end of the month. How many days we want to, for instance, we want to survive with our remaining cash. Let's do it like this. Equals, and let's construct this date of ours. It goes like this: equals date, parenthesis, we want to make a date here, and at first it asks for the number of the year. Okay, it turns out that if we want to take this 15th of October and want to know which year it was exactly on, there's a function called year as well. Year, parenthesis, begin. And now we're going to click on the C29, which contains this date, and year function will extract number 2011 from it. Okay, that's just fine. We took it out. Okay, now let's get the month's number. We want to get to the end of this month. So we're at first going to take the function called month, put C29 into it again, and here it is. This takes the month, which is the number of the month, which is October's 10, takes it out from the date. But now there's a trick enabling us to go always to the last day of the month. Namely, we'll at first have to go to the first day of the next month. Let's try to do that. So if it's the next month, we're going to take the month, which is 10th, and we're going to put +1 in here. This gives us the next month. In this case, it gives us November. But there's one thing to be certainly said here, namely, even if it's the end of the year, it still works correctly. If we had our date in December and month +1 would have been 13, it would have correctly gone to the next year, 2012, and taken the first month, which is January. So it works perfectly. Okay, we've gone to the next month. And now let's take always the first day of the next month, which is just the day's number is simply 1. Okay, let's see if this works. Well, there's a problem though. It turned it into 40,848, so this must mean the exact date we're considering as a number. So let's go into this formula and let's click on Control 1, and here it is. We should set it into a date, and it's nicely the 1st of November 2011. Now what we can do furthermore is we'll take this formula again and do a -1, so we subtract 1 from it, and once again Microsoft Excel works absolutely correctly. We had the 1st of November 2011, and when we do -1 to this date, it moves backwards 1 day. And it's always the last day of the month we're considering, the last day of October 2011. And now if we want to know, for instance, how many days left until the end of the month, we're just we just have to say minus this date of ours, minus the 15th of October 2011, and it calculates the number of days. But there's a further problem, namely, once again, Excel thought that since we're subtracting dates like this, it should be a date. So this with control 1, if we turn it into a number, it's going to be 16, which means that from 15th of October, 16 days are still left until the end of the month. If it had been like it was, control 1 and date, it would have been just as number 16 as a date. And remember, number 16 as a date is the 16th day from the beginning of Excel's calendar. It's 16th of January 1900. So we have to turn it into a number, and it's just a nice number, 16. That's what we mean by it. Excel will from time to time mess things up this way. Okay, so the formula was create a date with current year of the year of the C29, then create a month of C29, but add 1 month to it. If it's a December, it will correctly be January. It will make the next year's January date out of it, and then take the first day of the month, in our case the 1st of November 2011, then subtract 1 day from it, and you'll get always the last day of that month. That is, it would have been, that is, in this case, it would have been 31st of October. And then you have your last day of the current month. And what you're gonna do, you're gonna subtract the current date from it, and it's gonna show how many days still to go in this current month. Once again, this last day is always correct. If it's the 1st of March, it will give you 28th of 20 or 29th of February correctly, depending on the extra years. Any month will work correctly. Here is the explanatory column of the table, and this here is the rest of the table's numbers. So basically, what we will see is that if the order is under 2,000, so anything we order is under 2,000, we will get we will get 1 book for $24. If our order is between 2,000 and it's less than 3,000, we will get the 1 book for a cheaper price for $22. So it's kind of a discount on the procurement side as well. And if we're buying even more books, over 3,000 books, then we will get 1 book for a $20 price. Now this will be solved with if as well, but the thing is that it's actually there are once again 3 options here: under 2,000, 2 to 3,000, and over 3,000. So we will once again need 2 ifs to be within each other. Remember, a single if could only distinguish between 2 cases, as let's say no income tax, flat rate of income tax. If we had more cases like 3, we had to use 2 ifs. The word is nested within each other. Okay, let's write this formula as equals, and the first comparison is going to be rather simple. Equals if, parentheses begin, if order size is less than 2,000, or order 2, the order 2,000. If it's a small order, semicolon, and we're going to put down the price of 24. This is called price 1. Then our price 1 will be used for procurement. Okay, we've considered this. We're going to put a semicolon. We've seen the condition of the if. We've seen what do in the case of the condition. Now we have to decide what to do in the other case. And we still have two options left between 2 and 3,000 over 3,000. So, two options left. We have to write another if parenthesis begin. And now comes another point. All we have to write here is if order size is smaller than 3,000 or order free. The reason is that once we arrive here inside this other if, we already know that the order size was not less than 2,000. So if it was not less than 2,000, and now we're checking whether it's below 3,000, we know that it's bound to be between 2 and 3,000. So we write it like this, and we write semicolon price 2, which is the $22 price. Okay, and now the third point. Let's go over this entire if. The first if has a comparison or a condition, and it applies a formula for the price. Now, this is the first part of the first if, the second part of the first if. And first if's third part is the entire second if. Second if, once again, has the first part, which is the comparison, the formula to do in that case. And now let's check out what happens. If we didn't find a small order, if we didn't find a mid-size order, and we're in the end of that second if, we can always write semicolon price free, because then we know that our order had to be over 3,000. So once again, if we have three options, we write two ifs, and in the end of the second if, we automatically write the third option, and here it is. So here we have it, and our formula is ready. Right now the price is 22. If the order had been 1111, it would have been 24. If it had been 3333, the unit price would have been 20. But it's 2,500, so the unit price is 22. And now let's sum up our exercise. We already know exactly what happens with the revenues. We calculated it at the last step. But now let's write down what happens with buying in stuff. We write equals order size times unit price, and we get as our costs. Right now it's always 55,000, and we will finalize this exercise by writing profits, and profits always equal revenue, which is the money coming in, minus cost, which is the money going out. And here it is. At the moment the profits are 16,000, and if we hold F9 key, it's going to cycle through different demands. Right now it's 20,000, and actually it never gets bigger than 20,000, because if the demand is real big, we always order 2,500, so we always get it sold with nothing to discount, and this means that revenue is depending on everything we just sold. Costs depend on everything we bought in. It's always the same, and the maximum profit is 20,000. But it can be lower, and it can even be in the losses. There, the order size was still 2,500, but the demand was only 648, which means that we have to sell 648 with full price, but very much 1,900 almost with discounts, which means that revenue is only 38,000, the costs were 55, losses are in 17,000. So we should really consider, once we have more knowledge, we should really consider this exercise more deeply. There is still more that can be done.